Upon hearing from my son that I wouldn't be welcome at his home for Christmas, I smiled, got into my car, and made a single phone call. As the new year approached, I successfully had their mortgage payments eliminated, marking just the initial step of my strategy. It is essential to restore justice and hold arrogance accountable. What I did next might surprise you. Before we proceed, we invite you to subscribe to the channel and share your location in the comments section. This year, I thought I might prepare my renowned turkey as I sank further into the comfort of Michael's leather couch, the one featuring the sage stuffing that your mother cherished so much. Recall how she would often claim it surpassed her grandmother's. The words lingered in the warm air around us, intertwining with the fragrance of Isabella's luxurious vanilla candles. Michael moved slightly next to me, his wedding ring glinting in the glow of their towering 12-foot Christmas tree. There was a noticeable shift in his posture as his shoulders drew inward, as if preparing for an impending blow. "I'm sorry to say, Dad, but you won't be able to join us for Christmas this year." The words struck me with a force that felt almost tangible. I paused, convinced that I had misunderstood. "Could you clarify what you mean? What could possibly make me unwelcome?" Michael avoided my gaze, his eyes glued to the marble coffee table, the very piece I had assisted him in selecting last spring after Lauren deemed their previous furniture lacking in sophistication. "Isabella's parents are visiting, and they would appreciate your absence during that time." My hands grew cold. "What would they prefer?" "It simplifies things, Dad. Her family has a strong commitment to their traditions. They possess a unique approach to their methods." His voice diminished with every word, as if he were retreating into himself. As I surveyed the living room, my gaze fell upon the silk curtains I had purchased in response to Isabella's concerns about privacy. The hardwood floors that were a result of my second mortgage, and the crown molding that had pushed my credit card to its limit. This house is a testament to my dedication, my effort, and the deep affection I hold for my son, evident in every corner. In their own manner, I echoed deliberately. "In what manner do you mean, Michael?" He recoiled. "Dad, let's not complicate things unnecessarily." From the kitchen archway, I caught sight of Isabella's new KitchenAid mixer, of the professional-grade model she had insisted was essential for her holiday baking phase that lasted precisely 3 weeks. My $2,000 are just sitting there, likely utilized only a couple of times since October. Where will I be celebrating Christmas this year? The inquiry emerged with less volume than I had hoped for. Michael's expression twisted in dismay. "Perhaps you might consider paying a visit to Aunt Lydia. Alternatively, we could plan something for the following weekend." The following weekend. It felt as though Christmas had become merely another obligation that could be postponed at will. I rose to my feet, my knees voicing their discomfort after enduring this weight for 8 long years. "Understood. Father, please hold on." As I made my way to the door, I passed by the family photos, each one capturing a moment where my face appeared smaller and more distant, and the coat closet that housed Isabella's expensive jackets. My hand grasped the doorknob, its solid and cold surface pressing against my palm. "Son," I said, not bothering to look back, "convey my warm wishes to Isabella's parents for a joyful Christmas." The December air struck my face with a sharpness that was almost startling as I made my way to my truck. As I stood there, I heard Michael softly call my name, followed by the gentle sound of the door clicking shut. The ultimate conclusion. I lingered in the driver's seat engine, silent, observing the Christmas lights flicker in the windows of homes where I would never belong. My phone buzzed, likely Michael reaching out to mend things with hollow assurances and a sense of remorse. I chose not to respond. Instead, I turned the key and drove into the darkness, leaving behind the inviting warmth of the house I'd purchased, yet would never truly call home. The heater buzzed softly, providing a comforting warmth against the chill of December as I made my way through the well-known streets toward home. South Hill enveloped me, each neighborhood corner, rich with memories of the person I once was, the one who held family above, all willing to part with his last dollar just to bring a smile to his son's face. That individual displayed a remarkable lack of wisdom. At the red light on 29th and Grand, I observed a young father carefully placing Christmas presents into his SUV. The children eagerly leaned against the window, their breath creating a misty veil on the glass as their excitement bubbled over. There was a time when Michael and I shared a connection. Before Isabella, before I was reduced to a mere walking ATM, burdened with inconvenient emotions, the numbers began to swirl in my mind like a malfunctioning slot machine. $2,800 each month for a duration of 5 years. Last spring, my calculator had surrendered in its attempt to comprehend the situation just as I finally tallied the total. $140,000, a sum greater than what Elena and I had accumulated for our entire retirement. Vanished. Recently departed. I pushed the accelerator with more force than needed as the light shifted to green. The truck emitted a growl that resonated with my feelings. 5th Street, that was the place where I had refinanced my home. Our home, along with Maria's and mine, to assist with their down payment. The loan officer regarded me with a sense of pity that I failed to recognize in that moment. "Mr. Flores, do you truly believe this is the right course of action? You're jeopardizing a significant amount for the benefit of another's financial venture. Is it an investment made by another party? This does not align with my son's future, not the safety of my family. A different individual's investment. Lincoln Street, the financial institution from which I secured a second mortgage after Michael's job loss 2 years back. It's only for a little while, Dad. Only for a little while until I regain my stability." Lauren stood behind him, her $700 purse casually draped over her shoulder, nodding with sympathy, while her mind raced to assess the value of my desperation. It appears there was nothing at all. My desperation held no value for them. As I drove into my driveway, the cracked concrete served as a reminder of the financial constraints I faced, with every extra dollar vanishing into the allure of their ideal suburban dream. The porch light flickered, a reminder of yet another repair I had been procrastinating on. Within the walls, the house echoed with emptiness, devoid of Maria's joyful laughter and the cherished warmth of family gatherings that would remain a distant memory. As I struggled with my keys, my phone suddenly rang, the sharp tone reverberating through the vacant space around me. Isabella's name appeared on the screen, likely intending to clarify why I fell short of her parents' refined expectations. Ideal moment. After a long 5-year wait, I was finally ready to engage in this conversation. I picked up on the 4th ring, allowing her a moment of suspense to ponder whether I would actually answer. "Dennis." Isabella's voice was laced with a deceptive charm, reminiscent of the tone she adopted when requesting my help with their water bill or property taxes. I came across the minor confusion involving Michael. Like confusion? I stood by the kitchen counter, my coat still draped over my shoulders. "I believe there is no confusion here, Isabella. Your stance is unmistakably articulated. While it may come across as tough, it's important to consider my parents' viewpoint. They adhere closely to traditional values. There is an anticipation for a particular ambiance throughout the holiday season. A particular ambiance, I reiterated. What kind of ambiance are we talking about? A moment of reflection. The sound of shopping bags rustling in the background caught my attention, likely indicative of funds being spent that ought to have been allocated toward their mortgage payment. It seems that the financial matters were under my purview, as it turns out. They may not be familiar with your unique style of cooking. The vibrant flavors of Mexican cuisine and the energetic beats of the music create an unforgettable experience. Honestly, Dennis, they are knowledgeable individuals. They anticipate discussions surrounding contemporary issues, literature and art, among other topics. The impact of the words resonates deeply, leaving a lasting impression. For 8 long years, I held back my words, stifling my frustrations for Michael's benefit, all while feigning ignorance to the way she regarded me, as if I were merely a servant. My preferred style of culinary creation, I maintained a steady and composed tone. Are you referring to the meals you enjoyed every Sunday for 3 years during a time of financial constraints? The tamales you mentioned that brought back memories of your grandmother? That was unique. We were grateful at that time, but now with my parents... At this moment, with your parents present, the presence of the Mexican peasant would certainly be a source of embarrassment at your elegant dinner table. The deceptive charm faded away. Let's keep things calm, Dennis. This matter transcends race. It delves into the nuances of social stratification. My father achieved the highest honors upon graduating from Washington State. My mother is proficient in 4 languages. They spend their summers in the Hamptons. What unique perspectives or thoughts would you bring to the dinner table discussion? Narratives centered around the art of tile installation. Warmth surged within me. Yet, I maintained a calm tone. After your husband's grandfather passed away, I managed to create a business from the ground up. I have hired more than 50 individuals. I have contributed more in taxes than what your father earned in his most successful year. Wealth isn't the sole measure of value, Dennis. Breeding is significant. The significance of education cannot be overstated. And honestly, Elena had a clearer grasp of her position than you do of yours. The conversation came to an abrupt halt. She had successfully crossed it. The boundary I was completely unaware of until she confidently crossed it in her stylish heels. What did you mention regarding my wife? I'm merely pointing out that she had a knack for blending in more effectively. She maintained a low profile. She recognized that certain spaces were not intended for her presence. My grip on the phone grew firmer, my knuckles turning pale. Ellen exuded a level of sophistication that far surpasses anything your lineage could ever hope to achieve. Oh, come on. She was a house cleaner who experienced a fortunate turn of events. At least she demonstrated the wisdom to remain silent regarding the matter. Isabella, my voice transformed into a tone I could hardly identify. Please pay close attention to what I'm about to say. This discussion has come to a close. We've reached the point where the facade of family is no longer sustainable. It is not sufficient to simply... I reiterated that we were finished and concluded the call. I placed the phone gently on the counter, my hands remarkably calm. The atmosphere in the kitchen seemed transformed, more compact, yet undeniably more pristine, as if a burden had been removed from the atmosphere. I approached my desk in the corner and finally retrieved the manila folder I had been putting off for months. Financial records, documents related to home financing, 5 years of automatic transfers that had drained my resources while they enjoyed a lavish lifestyle. It's time to put an end to the suffering. Section 4. The initial choice. Terminating the mortgage. The papers lay scattered on my kitchen table, reminiscent of clues in a mystery waiting to be solved. 5 years of bank statements each, consistently reflecting the same automatic transfer. $2,802 on the 15th of every month, disappearing from my account into theirs. A documentation of my own misjudgments. I retrieved my calculator and began the process of addition. The initial year, $3,300. In the following year, an additional $3,600. By the 3rd year, I had ceased purchasing new clothes for myself. In my 4th year, I began exploring discount grocery stores for my shopping needs. This year, marking the 5th year, I found myself relying on peanut butter sandwiches for lunch as a way to stretch my budget. $400, excluding the initial payment, excluding the occasions when I had to manage their utilities due to Isabella's overwhelming shopping habits, excluding the new roof and the landscaping and the furniture that was vital for their way of living. I reclined in my chair, gazing at the figures until they became indistinct. The funds from Maria's life insurance policy, my savings for retirement, the college fund we had initiated for grandchildren I would seemingly never have the chance to meet. Everything has vanished. Entered a home where my presence was not desired for the Christmas dinner. I picked up my phone and navigated through my contacts until I located my bank's number. The automated system provided me with choices in both English and Spanish. What a profound observation. How considerate towards individuals like myself. Support for customers. This is Jennifer. What assistance do you need today? I must cancel an automatic transfer. I stated, my voice more composed than it had been in years. Absolutely, sir. Please provide your account number along with some verification details. I recited the figures, observing her as she typed away in the background. Expertly crafted. Effective. There is no judgment regarding the reasons behind a 62-year-old man deciding to cancel payments on what likely was his son's mortgage. I acknowledge the transfer you mentioned, Mr. Flores. $2,800 each month to Wells Fargo account number ending in 7423. What is the duration of your experience with this transfer process? Half a decade. The words had a sharp, unpleasant flavor. Are you looking to cancel it right away? As I surveyed my kitchen, I noticed the aging appliances that were beyond my budget to update the walls in dire need of a fresh coat of paint, and the drafty windows that let in the chill. All because I had invested my home improvement funds into someone else's dream home. I have confirmed that this will take effect immediately. Completed. The transfer has been called off. Is there anything more I can assist you with today? No, I said, unexpectedly pleased by how satisfying the word sounded. No, that covers it all? I ended the call and found myself enveloped in the unexpected stillness of my home. As the December darkness enveloped Spokane, Christmas lights sparkled in the windows of homes, where families came together, freely embracing their true selves without conditions or judgment. Next month's budget is set to achieve balance for the first time in 5 years. After Maria's passing, I finally found myself in a position to repair my porch light, purchase quality groceries, and perhaps even consider a vacation. I collected the bank statements, the mortgage documents, and all the proof of my kindness. As I approached my fireplace, I struck a match and observed the remnants of 5 years of suffering transform into nothing but ash. The warmth of the fire enveloped my face, a sensation more comforting than I had experienced in years. My phone vibrated with a text message, likely from Michael seeking to make amends, or perhaps Isabella requesting funds for something crucial like new throw pillows. I overlooked it. Instead, I filled a glass with the fine whiskey, the bottle I had been reserving for a moment that always seemed just out of reach. This evening carried a unique significance. I lifted my glass in a silent toast to the vacant space around me, to Maria's picture resting on the mantel, to the person I once was, and the person I was evolving into. Happy Christmas to myself, I declared, and truly felt it. Section 5. Isabella's challenge. The following morning dawned with a refreshing clarity as December sunlight poured through my kitchen windows while I savored my second cup of coffee. After a long time, I found myself free from the constant worry of how much money would vanish from my account in just 3 days. The liberation felt more satisfying than the Colombian blend I had finally permitted myself to purchase. At precisely 10:47 a.m., my phone began to ring. Isabella's name appeared on the screen, evoking a sense of caution. Dennis, Her voice held a tone that suggested a hint of impatience just beneath the surface. Please arrange to pick up my parents from Spokane Airport. Their flight from Portland is scheduled to arrive at 2 o'clock. I placed my mug down with care, observing the steam rise gracefully toward the ceiling. Isabella, I hope you remember our discussion from yesterday. Let's set aside that discussion and concentrate on the practical aspects at hand. My parents require transportation, and you are the only person available during the day. The boldness was truly remarkable. Just a day after declaring that I wasn't deserving of joining her family for Christmas dinner, she anticipated that I would take on the role of their personal chauffeur. So you're inquiring? Because that's the essence of family, Dennis. They support one another. Her voice took on a cutting edge of annoyance. Moreover, we should be candid about this. You don't stand as my competitor. Your strength simply doesn't measure up to mine. Simply hop into your truck and go collect them. There it stood, the ultimate affront cloaked in an order. Which airline are you referring to? I inquired softly. Alaska Airlines Flight 447. They will be located at the 3rd baggage claim carousel. And Dennis, they are looking for someone capable of managing their luggage effectively. Please, let's maintain our dignity. The sound of her nails clicking against a solid surface reached my ears. It was likely her granite countertop, the one I had invested in, when she concluded that laminate was not appropriate for her dinner gatherings. Certainly, I replied. I will handle all the details. Excellent. Please dress appropriately. Perhaps that blue shirt you donned for Michael's graduation. They pay attention to details like that. The connection was lost. She didn't even express her gratitude. I reclined in my chair, gazing at the empty display of my phone. At 2 o'clock, you can find Flight 447 at Baggage Claim Carousel 3. I cast my eyes toward the wall clock, positioned above my sink. 10:52 a.m. There is an abundance of time available. I filled my cup with another round of coffee, sweetened it with an additional spoonful of sugar, and turned to the crossword puzzle in yesterday's newspaper that remained incomplete. 7 across. Postponing immediate rewards, consisting of 12 characters. Eventually, the answer would reveal itself to me. Section 6. The Airport Conundrum. At 2:15 p.m., I found myself comfortably nestled in my favorite armchair, savoring a freshly brewed cup of Earl Grey while perusing the Sunday edition of the Spokane Review. The crossword from yesterday sat finished on my coffee table. Delayed gratification was a matter of putting things off. The vibration of my phone resonated against the wooden surface. Once more we hear the name Isabella. I allowed it to ring. The December sun cast a gentle glow through my living room windows, filling the space where I had often found myself reflecting on the price of my kindness during countless solitary evenings. Today the silence carried a unique weight. Deserved, deliberate. 2:47 p.m. The phone vibrated once more. This time I was able to glimpse the preview of her message. Father, where are you? My parents are. I flipped the phone over and went back to the sports section. The Seahawks faced yet another defeat. Certain aspects remained constant. By 3:30, my phone had vibrated 6 times. I had completed reading the newspaper, prepared a second pot of tea, and begun the task of sorting through the clutter in my kitchen table's junk drawer. It's remarkable what can be achieved when you're not preoccupied with catering to those who view you as their personal assistant. The 7th call arrived at 3:45. Rather than seeing Isabella's name, I noticed a familiar number. Most likely her parents. I temporarily used someone else's phone at the airport. I allowed that one to ring as well. In the crisp December air, a neighbor adorned his porch with twinkling Christmas lights, while his children dashed around the yard, their exuberance perfectly capturing the spirit of the season. Everyday families engaging in everyday activities. Everyone was accounted for with no one left behind in anticipation of an arrival that would never happen. 4:15 p.m. My phone began to ring incessantly. Isabella followed by an unfamiliar number, and then once more, Isabella. The incessant buzzing resembled an irate wasp, frantically colliding with the glass. I made my way to the kitchen and disconnected my landline from the wall. At that moment, I decided to power down my cell phone entirely. Utter tranquility. I prepared a delightful grilled cheese sandwich and warmed up a can of tomato soup. Indulgent nourishment I had refrained from enjoying for months, as every dollar spent on groceries had been directed towards making ends meet while supporting their way of life. The cheese achieved a delightful golden melt, while the soup emanated warmth from my cherished mug. The winter sun hung low in the sky, its rays beginning to fade as they stretched long shadows across my backyard. In a distant corner of the city, 3 individuals likely found themselves in an airport parking garage engaged in a spirited debate over taxi fares, while questioning the nerve of their personal attendant for leaving them in such a predicament. The idea enhanced the flavor of my soup significantly. By 5 p.m., I had enjoyed my dinner, loaded the dishwasher, and was pondering which movie to watch next. It had been quite some time since I enjoyed a whole evening to myself, free from the stress of urgent requests for funds or unexpected obligations. I was reaching for the remote when a relentless pounding erupted at my front door. Not just a knock, but an aggressive hammering that shook the frame and conveyed sheer rage. I placed my tea aside and made my way deliberately toward the sound, fully aware of who awaited me on the other side. The relentless pounding grew stronger as I neared the door, each strike more ferocious than the one before. Peering through the peephole, I observed 3 figures huddled on my modest porch, reminiscent of wolves encircling their quarry. I swung the door open, only to be met with Cody Jenkins' flushed face just inches away from my own. "What is going on with you?" he exclaimed, forcefully entering my living room without so much as a request for permission. We spent an excruciating 3 hours at that airport. Catherine trailed behind him, her typically flawless hair in disarray, her lips forming a tight line that radiated intense animosity. "This behavior is truly disappointing coming from someone of your maturity, Dennis. Utterly inhumane." Lauren trailed behind, her designer coat creased and her makeup a bit smudged. We felt a deep sense of humiliation. "Are you aware of the impact of your actions? My parents ended up spending $40 on a taxi because of your decision to... Please leave my home." My voice pierced their cacophony of anger with the precision of a knife slicing through fine fabric. They paused in their tirade, taken aback by the firmness in my voice. "Could you please clarify?" Cody's face transitioned from a deep red to a striking purple. "It's not your place to impose demands in this situation. Not after the events of today. This is my house," I stated softly, remaining still by the door, "and I expect you to leave." At this moment, Catherine advanced, her tone laced with the condescension she had honed over years of regarding individuals like me from a lofty perch. "Dennis, it seems you may not fully grasp the significance of your error. My husband possesses a wide network of connections across this city. Professional relationships, interpersonal relationships. It is unacceptable to treat individuals in our position in such a manner and anticipate..." "This served as a valuable lesson for you," I interjected, holding her gaze firmly. "A reflection on the consequences of your inflated sense of self-importance and the way you treat those you deem inferior." Isabella's jaw dropped in astonishment. "A valuable lesson? What gives you the authority to instruct others you may feel insignificant? You're a..." "I have finally put an end to being your personal bank account and taxi service." I moved to the side and opened the door even wider. "The session has concluded. You are free to go." Cody pointed a finger at my chest, hesitating to make contact. You may not fully grasp the gravity of the situation, my friend. I have a deeper connection to this town than you have had time to experience. I have a deep understanding of individuals, significant individuals, individuals who have the potential to complicate your life significantly. Are you implying a threat, Mr. Jenkins? It's a commitment. His voice lowered to a threatening whisper. Do you really believe that leaving elderly individuals at an airport is an action that can be taken without facing any repercussions? Prepare to discover just how mistaken you truly are. Catherine nodded, her smile as piercing as a shard of glass. Absolutely. Every action carries weight, Dennis, and the repercussions of yours will be significant, accessible. Lauren clutched her father's arm. Dad, let's just leave. This unfortunate elderly gentleman does not merit our attention. They exited my house like a vanquished battalion. Yet Cody paused at the doorway, glancing back. He warned, "You'll come to regret this. I assure you of that." I shut the door behind them and engaged the deadbolt, relishing the satisfying sound it made. From my vantage point by the window, I observed them loading into their rental car, their voices raised in disagreement as they disappeared into the December night. The house seemed to breathe easier in their absence, as if the weight of their presence had finally begun to dissipate. Yet the remnants of their farewell lingered in the stillness that followed. Widespread implications, notable individuals, relationships. As I strolled back to my living room, I reached for my tea pleasantly warm in its mug. For the first time in this entire situation, I sensed a flicker of concern, yet it was quickly overshadowed by a more powerful emotion: expectation. 3 days later, while savoring my morning coffee and perusing the Spokane Review, I was taken aback to see my own face looking back at me from page 3. The headline stated, "Spokane businessman leaves elderly couple stranded at airport amid holiday storm." My hands paused, resting gently around the coffee mug. There, I stood captured in monochrome, an ancient image from my company's website, likely 5 years past its prime. Underneath it lies a narrative that sent chills down my spine and ignited my anger simultaneously. Cody and Catherine Richard found themselves in a challenging situation at Spokane International Airport on Sunday, as they waited for more than 4 hours for a prearranged pickup that never materialized. Their family member, Victor Flores, did not show up, leaving them stranded during their visit to see their daughter for Christmas. The couple, both in their late 50s, braved the biting cold as a winter storm warning was announced for the area. A warning has been issued for an impending winter storm. The weather was a pleasant 52 degrees with bright sunshine. Cody Jenkins, a retired banking executive, expressed disbelief at the thought of being abandoned in such a manner. Despite our numerous attempts to reach him, Mr. Flores remained unresponsive to our calls. We had no choice but to take a costly taxi amidst perilous weather conditions. At our age, this type of treatment is not only thoughtless, but it also poses significant risks. The piece progressed with remarks regarding my inconsistent actions and worries surrounding my mental well-being. Cody portrayed himself and Catherine as innocent victims of an unhinged old man who had inexplicably lost control. The absence of any reference to the Christmas dinner rejection, along with a lack of context regarding Isabella's demands and the years of financial exploitation, is notable. Here I am, the antagonist, who left helpless elderly tourists behind in a snowstorm that was purely a figment of Cody's mind. I placed my coffee down and took my time to read the article once more, savoring each word. Subsequently, for a third occasion, the byline was attributed to Patricia Morrison, who serves as the lifestyle editor. The name was unfamiliar to me, yet the strategy was one I could easily identify. Cody had leveraged his connections and called in favors to ensure this story was positioned perfectly to inflict the greatest harm on my reputation. intelligent, extremely perceptive. For the first time since this entire situation began, I found myself experiencing a reluctant admiration for my adversaries. They were more than just privileged individuals reacting with frustration. They displayed a thoughtful and deliberate approach. In a compact city such as Spokane, it was clear that reputation held paramount importance. A single strategically published article has the potential to undermine years of dedicated effort. They proclaimed an all-out conflict. I gently folded the newspaper and placed it aside my thoughts, transitioning into the strategic planning mindset that had transformed my business from the ground up. This transcended the realm of airport pickups. This transcended the usual concerns of holiday feasts or financial obligations. This focused on the concept of victory. I opened my laptop and started entering names into search engines. Cody Jenkins, Catherine Jenkins, Lauren Flores, their online personas, their relationships, their routines, their vulnerabilities, all the information they had naively shared over the years. If they were interested in playing chess, I would demonstrate what true strategic thinking entails. I took a moment to observe my wall calendar. December 18th. Just a week left until Christmas arrives. A week to orchestrate an unforgettable experience. For the following 3 days, I found myself immersed in an entirely different reality. This is not the reality where I was Victor Flores, the weary old man who allowed his family to take advantage of him. This was the realm in which I existed as Victor Flores. Entrepreneur, thoughtful strategist. As someone who has created something substantial from the ground up, I refuse to allow a group of ungrateful individuals to undermine the fruits of my labor over the past 4 decades. My laptop transformed into the hub of all my activities. Social media profiles cluttered my browser tabs, reminiscent of a high-stakes card game. Cody Jenkins, a retired manager from a prominent national bank, is an esteemed member of the Spokane Country Club and serves as the treasurer for the Inland Northwest Business Leaders Association. A man who dedicated his career to roles of responsibility and impact. A man standing at the precipice of significant stakes. Catherine's Instagram showcased an exquisite portrayal of sophisticated living. Charity luncheons, wine tastings, and vacation photos from Coeur d'Alene, all beautifully captured under the theme of a blessed life. Each post is thoughtfully crafted to convey an image of achievement and elegance. Friends have shared their admiration for her refined taste and motivating way of life. All constructed using the financial contributions of others, myself included. Isabella's Facebook timeline revealed the true narrative, reflections on our lovely abode featuring images of the kitchen that I invested in. Visits to high-end dining establishments during the times when I had taken care of their utility expenses. An update on the current status from the previous week. Thrilled to share a delightful Christmas dinner with family. Excited to demonstrate our exceptional hosting abilities. Our expertise in hosting. Our sanctuary, our achievement. The level of narcissism was astonishing, yet it was Michael's LinkedIn profile that provided the crucial detail I was missing. His latest actions revealed an intriguing new connection. Patricia Morrison serves as the lifestyle editor at the Spokane Review. The very Patricia Morrison who had penned the scathing piece about me. I reclined in my desk chair, gazing at the array of evidence displayed on my screen. These individuals had committed 3 significant errors. Initially, they had completely misjudged my capabilities. Secondly, they had made their attack known to the public, allowing me the opportunity to share my response openly. Third, they meticulously recorded their entire privileged lifestyle online, crafting an impeccable showcase of contradiction. I navigated to Patricia Morrison's profile, at the age of 43. Degree in journalism obtained from WSU. 15 years of experience with community newspapers. Cody had no prior ties to banking or finance, indicating that he had likely made a cold outreach, possibly through a contact from his professional network. A brief exploration of local business directories validated my assumption. There are 3 mutual connections linking Cody and Patricia's editor. The narrative was not a mere coincidence. It had been meticulously cultivated and intentionally positioned. Beginner's level. I initiated a fresh document and started to type. This is not merely a reaction to their media assault. It is something far more profound. A chronological sequence of events. 5 years of financial assistance substantiated with bank statements, receipts, and canceled checks. The initial investment for their home purchase. $47,000 obtained through my home equity loan. The kitchen renovation marked a pivotal moment when Lauren recognized the necessity of granite countertops. $1,000 charged to my credit card. 60 monthly payments of $2,800 each for your mortgage. $168,000 ordered and still increasing. $250,000. It exceeds the amount I have invested in myself over the past 10 years. I received a text from an unfamiliar number that made my phone buzz. It seems likely that Lauren is exploring a different perspective. I chose to overlook it and continued with my tasks. By evening, I had meticulously arranged everything in a manila folder robust enough to overwhelm anyone. Financial records, documentation of transactions, images retrieved from their social media showcasing acquisitions that I had financed, a physical copy of the newspaper article, adorned with my handwritten annotations in the margins, meticulously recording each falsehood and misrepresentation. I glanced at my wall calendar. December 24th stood out prominently marked in red, not due to the Christmas holiday, but rather because it was an ideal occasion for justice to prevail. Isabella's Facebook events indicate that she was organizing a Christmas dinner for a group of 12 individuals. Close companions of the family, community members, individuals within their network of acquaintances. The type of individuals who engage with the Spokane Review and develop their perspectives from the content presented within its pages. Individuals who are worthy of understanding the reality. I shut my laptop and made my way to the kitchen where my quality camera awaited me. The one I purchased years back to record job sites for my business. It's time to take action and record something completely different. Tomorrow marks the eve of Christmas. Tomorrow, Cody Richard and his family were set to discover the consequences of declaring war on someone who truly understood the art of combat. On Christmas Eve morning, the sky was a dull gray, and the air was biting cold, embodying the essence of a Spokane winter day that filled one with appreciation for cozy homes and the warmth of family gatherings. It's unfortunate that I wouldn't find a warm reception at either place. However, I had alternative intentions. I presented my evidence meticulously akin to a lawyer getting ready for a trial. Yearly organized bank statements. Every monthly payment is emphasized in yellow. Receipts organized in chronological order, illustrating the trend of my backing for their way of life. Images produced from their social media platforms. Isabella's latest jewelry collection. Their travel snapshots. The lavish Christmas decorations currently embellishing the house I had assisted them in maintaining. Everything was duplicated a dozen times. Each guest at the dinner will have their own. The newspaper article was placed atop each stack with my red pen notes clearly visible in the margins. Falsehood penned alongside Cody's remarks regarding perilous weather conditions. That is incorrect, aside from the assertion regarding my unpredictable actions. Lacking context, emphasizing the oversight of not mentioning 5 years of financial assistance. I meticulously donned my finest suit, the navy blue one I had worn to Maria's funeral crisp, and prepared for yet another kind of goodbye. Today, I found myself bidding farewell to a man who had long been a source of support for his family, often at his own expense. This evening, I would embody a figure deserving of admiration. At 6:30 p.m., I packed my briefcase with the evidence packets and made my way to Kendall Yards. Their home radiated a cozy warmth, with vehicles occupying the driveway and spilling onto the street. From the front windows, I observed silhouettes shifting about the dining room. Lauren graciously welcoming guests in the home that my financial support had contributed to acquiring. I positioned my vehicle on the opposite side of the road and glanced at my timepiece. 6:45. Ideal moment. At a time when all would be gathered around the dinner table. At a time when they would still be enjoying the main course. There are no straightforward exits for anyone involved. The entrance was ajar. Absolutely, it certainly was. Lauren took pride in highlighting the safety of their neighborhood, emphasizing how residents felt secure and free from the concerns that plagued those in less fortunate areas. I entered softly, feeling the warm air greet me, accompanied by the cheerful sounds of laughter and conversation drifting from the dining room. Then Catherine remarked, "But darling, that's not the way we handle things in our family." A comment was made eliciting further laughter. Our family is a source of strength and connection, following all their efforts to keep me out of it. As I entered the dining room, briefcase in hand, I was met with a dozen faces, each reflecting a mix of astonishment and dread. Lauren paused, her wine glass suspended in midair, caught in a moment of unexpected revelation. Michael's complexion drained of color. Cody and Catherine appeared as though they had encountered something truly unsettling. "Good evening, everyone," I said with a sense of poise, placing my briefcase on their elegant marble sideboard. "I trust my presence at your Christmas celebration will be welcomed." Lauren was the one who discovered her voice initially. "Dennis, this behavior is entirely unacceptable. It is imperative that you depart without delay." As I spoke, I opened my briefcase and retrieved the initial stack of papers. "Your guests should be made aware of the true source behind the dinner, the house, and the lifestyle that you've been showcasing." A woman I didn't recognize, likely one of Catherine's acquaintances from her charitable endeavors, leaned in with a sense of intrigue. "What is he referring to?" Isabella, Lauren remarked hastily. "He's experiencing some sort of episode. Michael, please reach out to someone." As I navigated around the table, I carefully positioned a packet of documents in front of each guest. Here are the bank records I mentioned in a friendly manner. Over the course of 5 years, the financial backing amounts to $168,000 just for mortgage payments, in addition to the down payment, renovations, furniture, appliances, and all the elements that create the environment you see around you. The atmosphere grew still, punctuated only by the soft sound of papers being shuffled as a dozen individuals delved into the evidence before them. I observed the transformation in their expressions as they processed the figures, the timelines, and the irrefutable evidence of my kindness, juxtaposed with their dishonesty. This is where one man began, and then paused, gazing intently at a bank statement. "Unbelievable," concluded the woman sitting opposite him. "Isabella, what was the reason for not sharing any of this with us?" Isabella's flawless demeanor was beginning to show signs of strain. "The situation is more intricate than it appears at first glance. Victor generously offered his assistance to us. We did not inquire." In that moment, I interjected, retrieving the newspaper article. "Let's discuss your requests and the information you shared with the media regarding me." The atmosphere in the room appeared to cool significantly. I set the newspaper article on the table, observing, as the dinner guests noticed my photo from the less than flattering story that had been published 3 days prior. At this moment, I declared, my voice resonating through the unexpected hush, "It's time to address the true manipulators within this family." Cody's face shifted from a deep crimson to a pale, ghostly hue. Catherine remained tense in her chair, her wine glass neglected in her grasp. Mr. Richard leveraged his banking connections to disseminate this narrative. I persisted in my rhythmic tapping on the newspaper. Observe how I am depicted as erratic and threatening, leaving vulnerable elderly individuals in frigid conditions. An elderly gentleman in a luxurious sweater glanced up from the piece he was reading. "Cody, could you clarify what this is regarding?" The temperature was a pleasant 52 degrees, under a bright sun, I remarked, before Cody had the chance to respond. And they were certainly not lost tourists. It was Isabella's parents arriving for the Christmas dinner, from which I had been excluded, deemed unworthy of their presence. Catherine has ultimately discovered her voice. That is not, we did not state. What is it that you never mentioned, Catherine? I took out my phone where I had saved screenshots of various posts from Isabella's social media accounts. That I didn't meet your parents' standards, that my Mexican food and working class conversation might cause you discomfort in front of your educated friends. The woman I had recognized as one of Catherine's charity acquaintances fidgeted with unease. "Catherine, surely you didn't—" Cody exclaimed that he's twisting everything, yet there was a noticeable lack of conviction in his voice. This individual is grappling with significant mental health challenges. The challenges of growing older, monetary concerns. Facing financial challenges, I found it quite amusing. "Mr. Jenkins, I have been providing financial assistance to your daughter and son-in-law amounting to nearly $3,000 a month for the past 5 years. The financial challenges you face are the ones that lie ahead." I directed my attention to the whole table. These individuals have appropriated $200,000 from me while disparaging me in secret. They have turned my son against me, excluded me from family events, and when I finally asserted myself, they attempted to tarnish my reputation in the newspaper. Michael finally found his voice, though it was just a soft murmur. "Dad, I was unaware of the newspaper." "Your wife was aware," I said softly, "and her parents arranged it all. They portrayed me as the antagonist for declining to serve as their personal bank and driver." The atmosphere in the room was evolving dramatically, akin to the movement of tectonic plates. The expressions on the guests' faces were telling. The slow, dawning awareness that all the narratives surrounding tonight's seemingly benevolent hosts were nothing but fabrications. "This is utterly unacceptable," remarked an elderly woman, adorned in pearls, as she gazed at the bank statements. "Cody, how could you allow your daughter to exploit this man's kindness, only to publicly criticize him when he chose to stop supporting that behavior? Cody's meticulously crafted exterior was beginning to fall apart. There seems to be a lack of complete understanding regarding the situation at hand," the woman interjected with clarity. "This individual has been providing financial support to your family, yet you have treated him as if he were merely an employee. When he finally set a boundary, you attempted to tarnish his reputation." Catherine's voice emerged in a strained manner. "He left us behind at the airport. When you informed me that my presence at Christmas dinner would be deemed inappropriate for your parents, I responded with composure. After 5 years of managing their finances, while you judged me based on my background and academic achievements, the stillness was overwhelming. 12 individuals fixated on Cody and Catherine, their faces a mix of disdain and discomfort for having been linked to them. Lauren made a final determined effort to steer the story in her favor. "Dear everyone, this situation has escalated beyond what we intended as a family issue." I firmly stated no. "This ceased to be a private issue the moment you took it to the public arena, leveraging the newspaper to undermine my character and deeming my reputation a tolerable sacrifice for your own pride." I scanned the table, observing unfamiliar faces that in that moment seemed to possess a clear understanding of my identity. I feel it's important to share the truth with you all before you encounter Victor Flores in the news again. Rest assured, when you do see my name next, it will be accompanied by the genuine narrative. I snapped my briefcase shut and adjusted my tie with a sense of purpose. Wishing you a delightful continuation of your meal. This will be the final payment I make. As I approached the door, the sounds of an impending eruption resonated behind me. Accusations echo inquiries, seek clarity as the meticulously crafted social veneer begins to crumble. The Christmas music was truly the most beautiful I had ever experienced. The letter arrived on a Tuesday morning in March, delivered by certified mail, each word carrying the gravity of potential legal ramifications. I signed for it at my front door, taking in the fragrant spring air that hinted at new beginnings and opportunities, a stark contrast to the bleakness that had characterized those dark December days. The envelope bore a stark message notice of default final demand for payment. Within the confines of their home, the weight of 3 months of missed mortgage payments crashed down on Michael and Isabella, overwhelming them like an unstoppable wave of truth. $400 overdue just 14 days. To rectify the account or risk foreclosure on the home I assisted them in purchasing. I placed the letter down and went back to my coffee, perusing it, as one might scan a report on far-off weather conditions. Engaging, yet no longer a concern for you. For weeks, my phone had been ringing with calls that grew more and more urgent. Isabella's number was blocked following the initial frantic voicemail. Cody and Catherine, once prominent figures in Spokane, found their social status dissipated like the morning mist following the humiliation of their Christmas dinner. Even Michael, whose calls I had been overlooking due to a blend of frustration and intrigue regarding how long it would take him to set aside his ego. The response, it seems, was 97 days. He knocked on my door that Thursday evening, transformed from the self-assured man who had once kept me from Christmas dinner, now appearing as though he had aged a decade in just 3 months. With dark circles shadowing his eyes, his once pristine suit now creased. He exuded an air of desperation that clung to him like an overpowering scent. "Dad," he stated as I opened the door, "we need to have a conversation." I moved aside to allow him entry, observing how he surveyed my home as if it were a novel experience for him. The furniture I purchased with my first paycheck, free of mortgage obligations, along with the fresh paint on walls that had remained unchanged for 8 years, as every extra dollar had been devoted to his lifestyle. The repairs I could finally manage to pay for, now that I was no longer supporting someone else's vision of the American dream. "It's a lovely spot," he remarked softly. "It's the result of choosing to invest in your own well-being rather than in those who fail to value it," I responded, sinking into my new recliner. "Would you like some coffee?" He shook his head, sitting on the edge of my couch as if he were hesitant to settle in. "Father, I want to express my sincere apologies for all that has transpired. The holiday feast, the piece in the paper, how Isabella, how we regarded you." "Proceed." "I had no idea that Cody was behind planting that story. I truly didn't." Upon discovering the news, he ran his hands through his hair. "Jesus, Dad," the remarks made about you when you weren't around, the discussions surrounding our family, and the way they spoke of Mom's legacy. My jaw clenched at the mention of Maria, yet I maintained a steady tone. "What precisely did they mention regarding your mother?" "She had a deeper understanding of her position than you did of yours, a clarity that was evident." He couldn't meet my gaze, a clear indication of the boundaries in place. "I ought to have stood up for you. I regret not standing up to them years ago. Indeed, I mentioned that you ought to have done so." We lingered in silence for what felt like an eternity, the burden of 5 years of missteps hanging heavily in the air between us. Outside, the familiar sound of my neighbor mowing his lawn filled the air, a typical Thursday evening in an ordinary neighborhood, where sons included their fathers in Christmas dinner. Michael finally revealed that the house is in foreclosure. "I understand. We are unable to proceed with the payments unless—" He paused, as if coming to an understanding of how that might be perceived. "I completed it on my own, without assistance." Without the financial support I provided each month while you allowed your wife's family to mistreat me. I understand the perspective, Michael. I leaned in closer, ensuring he was focused on me. Are you aware of the total amount of money I transferred to you over the past 5 years? He nodded with a heavy heart. Lauren made her calculations following Christmas. The various aspects of mortgage payments, the initial down payment, and all related considerations. More than $200,000. $237,468, I clarified. I have pinpointed the precise figure because I finally took a step I should have taken long ago. I calculated the total. His expression twisted in dismay. Father, I sincerely apologize. I'm unsure about how to resolve this issue. It's beyond repair, my boy. The funds have vanished. However, what truly matters is that those years have passed. 5 years that could have been spent nurturing a connection with you rather than supporting your wife's dream lifestyle. I understand. I have come to understand that now. He gazed at me with an expression that could have been interpreted as hope. Perhaps we could consider a fresh beginning. Perhaps there exists a method to... Are you suggesting that I should start making the mortgage payments again? His eyes reflected a profound loss of hope. It feels like we're on the brink of losing it all, Dad. The home Isabella's admiration for me, the endorsement of her parents. I'm uncertain about my next steps. I assured you that you would find a way, with a gentle tone. In a similar manner, I learned to navigate life without the presence of a son who held me in esteem. Just as I discovered how to embrace solitude during Christmas, while you reveled with those who regarded me as inferior. He began to weep softly, resembling a man who had exhausted all other possibilities. It seems I've lost you, haven't I? I made a choice that led to losing you for good. I observed him intently, this individual I had nurtured, cherished, and made sacrifices for who had allowed his wife's relatives to persuade him that his father fell short of their standards. Michael, I finally said you didn't lose me. You revealed my secrets. There exists a distinction. He brushed away the tears with the back of his hand. Is there a possibility, a way for you to find it in your heart to forgive me? Months ago, I offered my forgiveness, and I truly meant it. However, forgiveness does not imply returning to the previous state of affairs. It doesn't imply ignoring the reality of the situation or that I will continue to finance a lifestyle that was contingent upon my gratitude for mere fragments of your attention. So what is the significance of this? I rose from my seat and approached my mantel where Maria's photograph was displayed alongside a recent addition. Sharing Easter dinner with Lydia and her family was a heartwarming experience, marking the first holiday I spent with people who genuinely welcomed my presence. If you desire a relationship with me, it will require starting from the ground up. It signifies offering me respect rather than insisting that I must earn it. It involves selecting options that align with principles rather than those that merely offer ease. I glanced back at him. It signifies that when the next occasion arises, where someone, be it your wife, her parents, or anyone else, attempts to leave me out of family events, you'll recall who truly embodies the essence of family. He nodded slowly, perhaps realizing for the first time that respect was not something to be assumed. The house, he said softly, is no longer my concern. I settled back into my seat, feeling a sense of relief that I hadn't experienced in a long time. As an adult, Michael, you have the capacity to navigate this situation with maturity. Resolve it in a mature manner as adults typically would. Secure employment that provides sufficient income to meet your financial obligations. Consider selling the house and investing in a property that aligns with your financial capabilities. Cease the practice of overspending and relying on others to support your decisions. He rose gradually, his posture upright for the first time since his arrival. Your observations are completely accurate. I understand. He approached the door, paused for a moment, and then glanced back. Dad, I I just wanted to say that witnessing you assert yourself at Christmas dinner truly made me proud. Feeling a mix of embarrassment and anger, yet also a sense of pride. That sounds promising, I remarked. Perhaps there is still a glimmer of hope for you. Once he departed, I filled a glass with the finest whiskey and made my way to the back porch. Spring was approaching in Spokane. The trees are starting to awaken, and the air is filled with a sense of anticipation and warmth. In just 4 months, I will reach the age of 63. Elena had been absent for 8 long years. I spent 5 of those years allowing myself to be walked over by individuals who failed to value true sacrifice. I had no intention of squandering any further. I received a text from Lydia that made my phone buzz. "How about dinner on Sunday? The children are eager to present their school projects to you." I grinned and responded with a message. I wouldn't want to miss it for anything. True family, as it turned out, was defined by those who genuinely desired your presence. All that remained felt like a costly performance, and I had no intention of purchasing tickets to productions where I was not invited to participate. The whiskey embodied a sense of liberation, and the horizon appeared as luminous as my aspirations allowed it to be. If you enjoyed this story, we would appreciate it if you could give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts about the story in the comments section. For the next story, please click on the box located on the left. I appreciate your time and attention.